Pioneer EFCC chairman takes over as National Security Advisor. FG declares Wednesday, Thursday as Eid al-Kabir holiday. Protesters demand stoppage of building demolition in Kano. On the foreign scene, RSF announces two-day unilateral ceasefire in Sudan for Eid. Hello and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for joining. And now the details. The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, on Monday officially assumed duties with a pledge to subdue insecurity and stabilize Nigeria. Ribadu took over from the former NSA retired Major General Babagana Monguno following his appointment by President Bola Tinubu on June 19. He said that the administration of President Tinubu had enormous responsibilities of securing Nigeria, stabilize it, and ensure peace in all parts of the country. According to him, this is a work for Nigerians and assured that he intends to continue with what has been done. Ribadu, in a statement by the SA Strategic Communication, Zu Mijinyawa, solicited the full cooperation of all servicemen and women and by extension all Nigerians in order to accomplish the present administration's quest for a more stable, peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. The federal government has declared Wednesday, June 28 and Thursday, June 29, 2023 as Eid al-Kabir holiday. This was contained in a statement by a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Oluwatoyin Akinlade. Akinlade enjoined Muslims and all Nigerians to make sacrifices for the growth and development of our communities and our great Nigeria. The permanent secretary expressed hope that the prayers and sacrifices of this season will restore the much desired peace and unity in the country. Hundreds of protesters on Monday in Kano take to the streets to express their displeasure with the ongoing demolition exercises by the state government. The government has pulled down some structures while several others have been marked for demolition. The government premised its action on the grounds that the land upon which the affected structures were erected were illegally allocated by the immediate past government, while the government has insisted that there is no going back in its resolve to restore the Kano Urban Development Master Plan, which include removing structures erected on public spaces. The protesters on Monday demanded that the government rescind its decision. Speaking on behalf of the protesters, Zaharuddin Baba said if the incumbent governor has anything against his predecessor, he should call him to answer questions instead of punishing innocent Nigerians and destroying their investments.
In office, the perceived measure become the source of sorrow to many residents and indigenes of Kano State, who acquire land from the various administration or previous administration of Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, when the governor ordered demolition of the properties worth over 226 billion naira within 3 weeks in office. Let it be on record that 6 days in office is significant for the people-oriented government to order demolition of the properties because the time allowed by law for such notice was not allowed. I believe that the governor Yusuf is using people's heart and investment to settle political scores with the various administrations, which is a bad development.
Dead bodies of 3 Nigerian Medical Students Association who died when a boat conveying 14 of them for a cruise capsized on Saturday have been buried at the Military Cemetery, Calabar. Police, Naval and Nigeria Emergency Management Agency NEMA authorities confirmed the burial. Director General, National Emergency Management Agency NEMA, represented by a delegation, commended the capacity of the Nigerian Navy to respond to emergencies in the country. The delegation applauded the leadership of the NNS Victory for their swift response, which saved 11 other medical students from drowning. The delegation said that the Navy remains a critical stakeholder in search and rescue operations, particularly in the maritime environment as well as other disaster management in the country. Relatives of the slain professor of forestry from the University of Ibadan, who was shot dead by unknown gunmen in front of his Ojo residence in Ibadan, have called for justice for the soul of the deceased, whose killers still walk the streets as free men. Speaking with our reporter in Ibadan, they called on security agents to rise to the occasion and bring perpetrators of the heinous act to book. The report.
It's one painful death that continues to linger in the hearts of family members, colleagues, and acquaintances who continue to throng the residence of lead professor of forestry Opeyemi Isaac Ajewole, who was shot dead in cold blood in front of his Ojo home in Ibadan by unknown gunmen on the 5th of June. Relatives of the deceased are yet to come to terms with the gruesome murder of this academic, who was said to have contributed much to the national development.
Thankfully, the deceased is a member of our church. I've been pastoring them for over 25 years, and we have seen him as a focused, stable person over the years. He loves God and he served God to the best I know. I saw him first Sunday of this month of June. We had a Thanksgiving service. He was with us in church. We all danced and thank God.
Professor Opeyemi Ajewole is Nigeria's Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima's classmate. Kayode Ogunsanwo was a close confidant of the deceased professor and was with him a few minutes before his last moments on earth.
Close to me when he left for that day. We were together in the club and he left. So when he was telling me that I needed not to go back to the office, that he has switched off my AC and then took off my light, I didn't know that he was actually switching his AC from me personally and then switching off his light from my life. I didn't know that we were speaking for the last time. As at now, everybody is really saddened. We are shocked by what happened. And then we derive joy in the fact that as a Christian, that my friend was, he has gone to meet with the Lord.
People familiar with incidents say this is one death too many and kicked against the constant killings of the nation's best brains. All they are seeking is for the arrest of the suspected assassin, who is still walking free.
The Acting Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun on Monday convened a crucial gathering with police officers on the need to enhance their operations. The meeting took place at the force headquarters in Abuja. The IGP emphasized his vision of fostering a police force that upholds the rule of law, adding that as a demonstration of this commitment, all police convoys engaged in routine non-emergency movements must adhere to traffic lights and other traffic regulations. The IGP vowed to set an example by personally adhering to traffic rules. The timing of this meeting coincides with the IGP's recent announcement to establish special intervention and rapid response squads across the country, aimed at addressing the prevailing security challenges.
The misuse of social media by police personnel, including our tactical officers, is a matter of great concern. Social media platforms have become powerful tools for communication, but when used irresponsibly, they can tarnish the reputation of our force and undermine public trust. I urge commanders to enforce strict guidelines on the use of social media by our officers in line with existing Social Media Policy 2022 and Cybercrime Prohibition Act 2015, emphasizing the importance of professionalism, respect for privacy, and the avoidance of any content that may be deemed offensive or unprofessional. Finally, let me end this speech by reminding you that those who keep the peace must be the epitome of peace. Those whose duty it is to enforce the laws of the land, must themselves respect and obey the laws of the land.
Now, security agencies in Kano State hold show of force exercise ahead of this year's Eid-ul-Kabir celebration. The exercise is to showcase readiness of security operatives to ensure peaceful celebration throughout the Salah period in the state. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin has the report.
It is a show of force in the form of work by operatives of the Nigeria Police Force, Army, Civil Defense, and all other relevant security agencies. Leading the work from the Sani Abacha Stadium to the Emir's Palace in Kofar Kudu, the State Commissioner of Police Muhammad Gumel said the idea is to assure people that their security of lives and property is guaranteed.
The purpose of this outing is nothing other than to give confidence to the populace and to give confidence to ourselves that the Salah celebration that is coming in the next 48 hours is going to be celebrated in a peaceful atmosphere.
According to the CP, police and all other sister security agencies have already mapped out strategies to effectively police Kano before, during and after the Salah period.
We are advising members of the public who are induced by anybody to come out and sabotage the peaceful conduct of the Salah celebration, which we know it is a tradition, it is a history-making event, and Kano State is in the focal of every nation in the world. We are aware that people all over the world are coming to Kano to witness the Durbar celebration. International communities will be with us to enjoy the festive period.
Meanwhile, the police are calling on all Kano residents to ensure they desist from committing any form of crime, as security operatives have since been deployed to enforce peace across the state. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Ahead of the Salah celebration, the Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 2, Onikon, Lagos, Ari Ali Muhammad, on Monday visited the command in Ikeja. Ali, during the visit, assured of the command's preparedness to ensure a hitch-free exercise in the state. Victoria Tokolo was there and now reports.
According to AIG Ari Ali, the command is proactive in synergizing with other security agencies to ensure the celebrations record no security breach.
For us in Lagos State, we are always proactive. Let me say so. We don't believe in reactive policing. And that is why you see officers and men of this command, whether on uniform or in mufti, moving around, nose diving, to get information about happenings. And don't forget, our men are scattered all over. We are also networking with members of the public that could have one or two information about the movement of these monsters to abreast us. That is not enough. We are also synergizing with other security agencies, like you are aware, realizing, of course, the fact that globally no one does it alone without partnership, and that we are doing. So by the special grace of God, before any terrorist will raise up his head to commit any havoc here in Lagos, trust me, we would have gotten that information and nipped the problem rightly in the book. Thank you.
The Commissioner of Police, Idowu Uwonwa, in his remark, stated that the command is working to ensure that issues of cultism, trafficking in firearms and gender, as well as domestic violence, are drastically reduced. CP Doe said between February and June this year, they have arrested not less than 120 cultists in the state and recovered not less than 60 firearms.
Linked to these cultists. We have paraded constantly. We do parade constantly those arrested so as to make a clear statement that the command under our common watch will not sit back and allow misguided elements hiding under the umbrella of cultism to threaten the internal security peace in this state, the internal security order in this state. And we are going to sustain this until they choose to either renounce cultism or to vacate the state.
The State Commissioner of Police said the command is committed to not just mopping up firearms from cultists, but also working with NGOs and stakeholders to see that sexual and gender-based violence are reduced in the state.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at falling prices of diesel. Details and more after the break. Welcome back. This is the news update on Trust TV. Here's a look at the top stories. Pioneer EFCC chairman takes over as National Security Advisor. FG declares Wednesday, Thursday as Eid al-Kabir holiday. Now, moving on, the new Controller General has taken over the mantle of leadership at the Nigeria Customs Service. He is CG Adeni Adewale, who was decorated on Monday morning at the villa by the Vice President. At the ceremony, the new CG expressed his readiness to work hand in hand with his colleagues to fulfill the mandate of the Nigeria Customs Service. Chamung Dabeng reports.
Monday marks the final day of the former Comptroller General Hamid Ali's administration in the Nigeria Customs Service. The outgoing CG passed the baton to Adeniyi Adewale, who will perform as the acting Comptroller General for the NCS. In his handover speech, Ali expressed confidence in the capability and competence of Adewale, and he enjoined the men of the service to fully cooperate with the new CG.
One of the most happiest person today that I'm handing over to somebody who knows the road and the obstacles we have gone through to be where we are today. So for him, it's just to continue from where we have stopped, because he knows the story, he knows the history, and he's part of the building block of what we are today. So I'm handing over to an officer that I know that will continue to build on what we have.
The newly decorated acting CG, Adeniyi Adewale, in his acceptance speech, said he will discharge his duties with dedication, fairness and integrity, even as he vowed to ensure the successful implementation of the Customs Act.
We understand that our conduct shapes the public's perception of the service. We will therefore strive to uphold the highest standards of professionalism and ethical behavior. Indiscipline will not be tolerated, as we prioritize fairness and equity. My predecessor had taken significant steps towards customs modernization. It is our duty to build on those gains. Staff welfare and capacity building have been revolutionized under the previous administration with the provision of decent packages and introduction of staff courses. We will therefore build upon these gains to ensure continuous growth and development of our workforce.
Adewale urged all NCS personnel, stakeholders, and the public to embrace the spirit of compliance, collaboration, and continuous improvement for the overall benefit of the service and the nation as a whole. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The price of automotive gas oil known as diesel has crashed from above 800 naira to 650 naira in the last few weeks. Truck drivers in Gombe said that the fall in price of diesel is a welcome development that will ease their operations. However, it is not certain if the current diesel price will be maintained, as the federal government had commenced the implementation of 7.5% value-added tax on diesel. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Last year, when a litre of diesel cost more than 800 naira, truck drivers and businesses were the most hit, and costs of transportation of goods were also increased. It is, however, good news now for truck drivers as the diesel price crashed by more than 190 naira. Alhamdulillah, we used to buy a litre of diesel between 950 naira and 1,000 naira, but the price has crashed to 670 naira and 700 naira. We wish diesel price will continue to crash. Prices of goods will decrease. People will enjoy. The truck drivers said the drop in price of diesel is now reflective in their operations, making them to cut cost of transporting goods from different parts of the country. We have reduced the cost of transporting goods. If it cost 5,000 naira to transport a bag from here to Port Harcourt, it is now 4,500 naira. Before, it cost 1 million naira to transport fertilizer from there to Gombe, but it is now 900,000 naira. But it is now left to be seen if the diesel price will continue to go down, as the federal government reportedly is set to commence charging a 7.5% value-added tax on diesel. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
On the foreign scene, authorities in Saudi Arabia have concluded plans to relocate 10,000 Nigerian pilgrims to another area in Muna following complaints of inadequate tents to accommodate the pilgrims on Monday. In a statement on Tuesday, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria stated that the new arrangement followed engagement with officials of Mutawif who are responsible for the welfare of African non-Arabs in the kingdom. The statement, signed by NACON's Deputy Director of Information, Musa Obandawaki, said that the decision was sequel to the complaint lodged to the Mutawif, which included inadequate food supply and late food service to the pilgrims. Obandawaki said that the Mutawif, while apologizing for the treatment meted out to Nigerian pilgrims, promised to make up for the incidents by relocating the pilgrims to the Turkish arena, which can conveniently accommodate about 10,000 pilgrims. The Mutawif expressed appreciation to the chairman of NACON for showing understanding and the Nigerian pilgrims for their patience and perseverance. The commander of the Sudanese paramilitary rapid support forces has announced a 2-day unilateral ceasefire for the Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha. Now, Hameti expressed hope that the Eid holiday will provide an opportunity for reconciliation among the Sudanese people. The Sudanese army has yet to comment on a potential ceasefire. Eid al-Adha, or the Festival of Sacrifice, is one of the most important Muslim holidays, marking the culmination of the annual Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has awarded medals to indigenous and military rescuers who took part in an operation to find 4 children who were lost for 40 days in the jungle after surviving a plane crash in the country's Amazon region. The children, aged 1 through to 13, survived the crash that killed their mother, the pilot, and another adult on May 1. The children were eventually found on June 9 by volunteers from the indigenous Murray people following a large and complex search operation. The children were reported to be recovering satisfactorily at a military hospital in Bogota. A military rescue dog, Wilson, who went missing himself during the operation, was also awarded one of the medals, though efforts to find Wilson continued after the children were found. General Pedro Sanchez, leader of the rescue operation, said that monuments will be built to remember the legacy of the 6-year-old Belgian Malinois shepherd. Now, treble winners Manchester City have made a formal £90 million bid for West Ham captain Declan Rice. Now, City's offer is believed to involve an £80 million initial payment, but falls short of the £100 million the Hammers are looking for. Sources believe that discussions around Rice are now reaching their final stages, and some kind of agreement with either City or Arsenal is likely. Although they have lined up Chelsea's Mateo Kovacic in a £25 million deal, the loss of Ilkay Gundogan to Barcelona means City manager Pep Guardiola is keen to bolster his midfield option. Rice, who led West Ham to European success with the victory over Fiorentina in the Europa Conference League final, is viewed as the ideal candidate. And that's it for the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.